Construyendo Mundos es una exposición organizada y comisariada por el Barbican Center de Londres. Este tipo de colaboración con otras instituciones nos permite desde la Fundación ICO afrontar proyectos de mayor envergadura que de modo individual no hubiésemos podido acometer. Es además un capítulo que complementa las dos exposiciones realizadas en años anteriores, más centradas en España, ampliando el ámbito geográfico y el artístico. Es una exposición más internacional y cuenta con 18 de los más importantes fotógrafos de todo el siglo XX a nivel internacional, desde Walker Evans hasta Andreas Gursky.
As Winston Churchill famously said, we shape buildings and thereafter they shape us. And architecture is really the backdrop of our lives. It affects the way we interact with our environment, indeed the way we interact with each other, and indeed it affects the way that we feel. But we often come to learn about architecture through the mediated image, through the photographic medium, and that was very much the case in the 50s and 60s, and it still is today. The architecture community learns about architecture through its dissemination, through the reproduced image.
Constructing Worlds celebrates this relationship between photography and architecture that has been going on for many years. We start the exhibition in the 1930s and chart the rise of modernism from the expansion of New York into the first modern high-rise metropolis right through the 20th century and into the 21st century to look at the growing, sprawling metropolises of today around the world.
So we were very clear early on that we wanted to introduce a broad spectrum of aesthetic approaches into the exhibition. So we have very kind of documentary approach to photography. We have commissioned architectural photography in the show, and we also have what we would call fine art or conceptual approaches to photography.
But what unites all the photographers in the exhibition is this understanding, this belief that the photography of architecture can tell us wider truths about who we are and how we live.
Elias, we've been collaborating on this show for the last 18 months and we've gone through a kind of a journey through this exhibition. Perhaps you can talk about your favourite photographers in the show.
It's so hard, there's so many amazing photographers here, but if I had to choose one, it would probably be Bernd and Hilla Becher's portraits of water towers. They're so incredible, they're so beautiful, and it's also this defining moment in the exhibition where photographs purely of architecture entered this art world context and changed the way we looked at industrial architecture. Alona and I considered many photographers and we have put together a selection of the finest, most interesting bodies of work that connect the disciplines of photography and architecture. It takes the visitor on a global journey around the world, from North America through Asia, South America and across Europe, explaining the stories of mankind as we've lived through the 20th and 21st centuries.
Very early on we made the decision to begin the show with the work of the female photographer Berenice Abbott, and for me she's a very exciting figure. She's one that's been worthy of revisiting and re-evaluating her work of late. She marks a milestone in terms of introducing a much more documentary, straightforward style of photography into America in the 1930s when pictorialism was very on vogue.
There really are phenomenal artists, from famous names such as Andreas Gursky and Thomas Struth, and the iconic Walker Evans, who pioneered documentary style photography, through to lesser known figures who are super important in our understanding of the built environment and how we inhabit this world. While the photography predominantly focuses on architecture, it reveals the human histories that both created the spaces and occupied them, and tells us something about who we are.